Hi, welcome to another episode of MYD Global. I'm your host, Leanne Hackman-Carty. Do you ever wonder what you should be doing in order to prepare for a winter storm? Well, today I'm talking to Cheryl Nelson. Cheryl's a TV host, she's a meteorologist, she's a natural disaster preparedness expert, and I'm talking to Cheryl today about some of the key things you need to do to winterize your home and your vehicle in order to prepare for winter. So stay tuned. Hey Cheryl, good to see you.
Hey Leanne, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, before we get started on today's topic, can you just tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Cheryl Nelson, and I am a broadcast meteorologist, a disaster preparedness expert. I do a lot of travel, home and family preparedness as well. My degree is in meteorology from Penn State University, and I'm also the founder and owner of my own company called Prepare with Cher, short for Cheryl, LLC. And I spent a lot of time talking to groups, talking to people, and helping families and their pets prepare for all different types of weather disasters. So anything from winter weather to hurricanes to tornadoes and flooding, heat waves, you name it, I'm here to help people prepare for whatever life throws at them.
And that is awesome, because I think a lot of people just assume it's never going to happen to them. And so they don't even think about preparing until after the fact. So the work you're doing is really important. So tell me a little bit. We're going to talk today about winter preparedness. And as you know, I mean, I'm in Canada, you're in the US, where we live. It tends to get a little cool sometimes. And just curious from your perspective on some tips on winter preparedness.
Yeah, thank you. And it does. I mean, a lot of us have already experienced some chilly weather so far this season. And especially where you are in Canada, I'm down in Norfolk, Virginia. So it's a little more balmy, but we do get our taste of snow every now and then. But what I always tell people is you have to first know your risk. Know where you live and what types of disasters are a threat to you. Can you get snow, ice, a mix of all of the above? You know, what do you have to be prepared for? I tell people too to winterize their homes. So things like checking the doors and the windows, make sure there's no drafts, do some caulking around there to help that cold air stay outside and not come in. The same thing goes for inside though too, with your curtains. Make sure that they're closed to keep all of that cold air out and keep that warm air inside too. Check your roof, make sure there's no leaks. And if there's trees or any dead branches that are hanging over where you park your car or your home, try to get rid of those, because the last thing you want is a tree to come crashing down with ice. And we see that happen all the time. So there's that. And then there's also, we talk about this a lot, having a disaster preparedness kit. But I tell people, make sure you have one at home and in your vehicle. So many people forget to keep items with them in their vehicle, but a lot of people end up getting in accidents during the elements and they're stranded sometimes. So you want things like bottled water, extra food like granola bars, non-perishable. Don't forget to keep extra coats, hats, gloves, scarves, everything in your vehicle. Make sure your tires are okay. Know how to fix a flat tire if something like that happens. Make sure your gas tank is at least half full if you're out driving around as well. Have a portable cell phone charger, first aid kit. I mean, there's so many things that you need to do. And also, don't forget a snow brush and an ice scraper. And this one I've been caught with before. You kind of live and learn. And this one was, make sure you have an extra bottle of windshield washer fluid in your vehicle, because I have run out on the highway before only to find tractor trailers throwing whatever at me, dirt, ice, snow, you name it. And my windshield became so gray and clouded. I had to pull over and pour water from my water bottle onto it. And I had to keep doing that until I could get to an exit. So definitely have your windshield washer fluid in your car as well. Blanket is another good thing to have too.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, because I've seen video footage where people are stuck in a snowstorm. They're not moving on the highway. They're almost sleeping. In some cases, they are sleeping overnight. They have no gas. They've got no food. I mean, you just think worst case scenario, but these are tips that you really do have to think about if you're traveling in the wintertime.
Yeah, it's really scary. And people don't think about that. They say, oh, I've got a kid at home. My supplies are good. But how much time do we spend in vehicles? I think we spend a lot of time there. So we have to make sure that the trunk is full of all kinds of goodies. I mean, you should see my trunk. I practice what I preach. People wonder what I drive around with in there. I also have a cardboard box and I have animal gloves in case I need to rescue some animals. I mean, I take Prepare with Share all the way. I do whatever I can to help people.
That is awesome, because I think it's such a timely message, especially for those of us who do live in cold climates, because you can never be too prepared. Is there anything else you can think of as far as resources that would be helpful for people?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want them to consider what they would do if they lost power. I mean, that's especially scary in the winter when it's cold because we're so dependent on electricity and heat. And I'd really recommend that people look into getting a generator, make that investment, because in the long term, I think it's going to make up for it and pay for itself. Because think about the not only the luxuries that we have every day, like the lights in your refrigerator, but I mean, what if you have medical devices and you're dependent on that electricity for survival? So one of my favorites is the Cummins Quiet Connect generator. It's a home standby generator. It's absolutely fabulous. That's one resource for you. Another resource I'd recommend is having a space heater. And I don't know about you and your family, but at home, my husband, he likes it a little cooler in the house. I'd rather be warm and cozy. So we actually lower the thermostat a few degrees, and I have a Honeywell space heater that I put in front of me, and that keeps me nice and toasty warm. And they have a couple great ones, the Comfort Temp ceramic tower heater and the Turbo Force heater. And these, they don't tip over, you know, they have the settings that'll turn off automatically. They're not going to overheat. And if you actually turn your thermostat down 3 degrees and use your space heater occasionally, you actually save money in the long term. That's what studies have shown. So that's a great way to use your space heater. And I tell my hubby that too. I said, look, we're actually saving money. I'm staying warm and it's all good.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I was just, as you were talking too, I was thinking as a parent with 2 teenage kids, you know, when we go anywhere in the wintertime and they're dressing like they live in Mexico, any tips for what I could maybe use to tell them, hey, if something happens to our vehicle and it's minus 30 degrees centigrade, you know, just some tips you might have.
Yeah, so tips that you want to wear. I mean, when you're driving, gosh, I know what you mean. My husband does the same thing, and he'll go out there and he won't have a hat, he won't have gloves. And hold on, one of my cats is actually here right now. Speaking of animals. Sorry about that.
Well, that's okay.
The door was closed. But yeah, I mean, you got to make sure you have all those clothes with you because it's so important. You don't want to be out in short sleeves and in a minus negative temperatures there. And frostbite, you got to watch out for that. Hypothermia is another one. You don't want to get that either. I mean, those are so dangerous. And honestly, it doesn't take that long to get those symptoms. If your fingers start to go numb or they start to turn, you know, whitish and they get clammy, you can easily get frostbite. And then with hypothermia, you can start to feel lethargic, your heartbeat, it slows down and you get really cold and you're shivering. But when your shivering actually starts to stop, that's dangerous because that's when you can become unconscious and then that could be really life-threatening. So you got to make sure that you're always prepared for the elements.
Yeah, well, I'm going to make them watch this video when we're done.
Good. So. Yes. Listen to her.
Awesome. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm hopeful we can connect again and talk on a different topic. But thank you so much. And all the work you're doing, I will include links to your website, and so people can find more preparedness tips there. And is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
I would just say thank you so much for all the work that you do as well. It's a very important topic, so I'm glad that we're getting this information out there. I really appreciate the time today, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Take care.